lot of them are the same as far as education and stuff goes. So first thing I'm going to do is just kind of give you guys a little background about who I am and how I got here, and then we'll kind of go through the specifics of how I got here today as far as my education goes. So I am originally from Nebraska. I kind of grew up all over. I was born in Lincoln, moved out to western Nebraska when I was younger. So I grew up a lot out there, got a lot of experience with some of the larger animals, but obviously small animals. I had dogs and cats growing up my whole life. Before I started high school, I moved back here to Omaha. I went to Millard West High School, so I am a native of the area. Luckily, I am finally back here. I've really liked animals since I was a kid, which you'll find most veterinarians will probably say that, but there's a lot more to the career than just liking animals. This is my husband and my two little babies. I have a white Dorky Lab and a little Dachshund. Like I told the other class, the little one is always the boss of the big one, which is oftentimes the case. If you guys have small dogs, you know what I mean. Like I said, I went to Millard West. After I finished high school, I did my undergraduate stuff at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln. I did veterinary science as my major. Loved it. University of Nebraska has a wonderful program for veterinary science, which I will talk about a little bit later. Because we live in an agricultural state and an agricultural area in general, a lot of universities, as far as their animal science stuff, has a lot to do with large animals, which is really good because it gives you experience across the board, even if you grow up in a city like Omaha and you really only have experience with dogs, cats, gerbils, things like that. You can get a lot of experience doing things as long as you have an open mind. I had a little bit of farm experience, so it wasn't as much of a shock to me, but there were definitely people in my class that had never touched cows or pigs or anything like that before. It's really a lot of fun. You get to do a lot of different things on a daily basis. That's probably one of the best parts about my job. I am trained for all animals, so every veterinarian will graduate and they're perfectly capable of practicing on whatever animal they want to practice with. So anywhere from dogs, cats, horses, gerbils, cows, weird stuff. I'll show you a couple pictures later on of some kind of oddball things that we see here and there. We did surgery on a rat the other day, so we see everything. So yeah, it's kind of fun. After undergrad, I went and did my veterinary school at Iowa State. They have one of the largest veterinary schools in the country. It's one of the oldest programs in the country as well. So they've been around for a long time doing this stuff. It's a wonderful school, brand new veterinary teaching hospital that I got to break in, so that was pretty fun as well. During my third year of veterinary school, I got the opportunity to do study abroad. If you guys, in whatever you do with your lives, whether you go to college or not, if you have the opportunity to travel abroad, I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. Whether it's an undergrad or your professional school, whatever opportunities you guys have, I would take them. It's one of the coolest experiences I've ever had, and as you'll see, it has influenced a lot of what I do. So, like I said, I got the opportunity to go to Africa. I was there for about a month, worked on a number of different game reserves, doing a lot of veterinary-based stuff, obviously. That's what I was there for primarily. But we also traveled around. I went to a couple of orphanages, worked with a lot of the kids there, and got to see the country as a whole. So it was a fantastic experience. I liked it so much that I decided to go back a couple of years later. This is after I graduated from veterinary school. Decided to go back on my own, not associated with school at all. I had met a lot of really cool people while I was over there, so that allowed me to go back and kind of reconnect with some of the people, but go to a different area. So we went to a different game reserve, and I was actually able to do surgery in the field on this particular lion here. As you can see, we are in the middle of nowhere in Africa. There are no fences, there are no zoos, nothing like that to stop any of these animals from coming and plucking you right off of the prairie land. So it's quite an adrenaline rush. You can see kind of how all these cars are situated in a circle around us, and we're at the center of the circle. The pride is just off here behind these trees, and there are rangers with rifles faced out into the wilderness to protect us while we're doing the surgery on their buddy here. So it's really, really cool. You guys are going to have a lot of opportunities to do stuff no matter what you decide to do, and study abroad is an amazing thing to do. So I'm a huge advocate of it. I'd like to add that in.
How did you get him by himself?
That's a great question. So I actually have a video, not in this PowerPoint unfortunately, but it's darting, so it works a lot like, you can think of like the blow darts, except instead of that, it kind of looks like a paintball gun if you guys have ever seen one of those. There's a couple different types of guns, but they're CO2 usually powered, and the darts themselves are loaded with anesthesia. So what you do is you load the dart, They're incredibly strong anesthetic agents because the animals are really big. So the medications that you use can kill you in a matter of a minute if you accidentally poke yourself. So it's incredibly important to be very careful when handling any of this stuff because it's really dangerous medications that we're using. So basically you load the dart, be very careful in the process, and shoot. I mean, it's like target practice, just like you're shooting anything else. You gotta get good at it. You gotta hit them in a certain spot. You wanna hit them in a nice big muscle belly like the shoulder over the hip. Obviously you don't wanna hit them in the belly or any of their internal organs. You also don't wanna hit bone if you can avoid it. And so it takes a pretty good shot to do this. And you're from a pretty decent distance away. You have to account for wind and all that kind of stuff, so it can be really difficult to do. So we just pulled up next to the pride in our trucks basically, and you take your shot and you shoot the animal. It goes down a couple of minutes later. You use the trucks to isolate the animals so that the pride can't attack you while you're picking up their friend and putting them in the back of the truck. So what we do is, you can see we have this tarp here that the animal is laying on. That's what we use to kind of lift it, like a little gurney basically. We lift it into the back of the truck, and we actually drove up to the top of the hill so the rangers can have a better view and protect us while we're doing the surgery. And like you can see, there's nothing fancy about it. We're really in the middle of nowhere. You know, you try to be as sterile as possible, but these are wild animals, so they're definitely capable of dealing with infection. It's part of, you know, kind of a natural selection, circle of life kind of thing. So this was a specific surgery. The animal got gored by some kind of antelope. I don't remember. The rangers didn't know during the hunt. And this is actually, it's abdominal wall. Everything is herniating outward. Usually they don't address things like this because it's a large reserve, and so they don't necessarily treat all the animals. You know, if something happens, they kind of just let it happen. Unfortunately, well, fortunately, I guess, for this lion, there was a lot of visitors. It was a young lion. She was an important part of the pride, so the manager, since we were there, decided that they wanted us to knock the lion down and fix it because it seems like it was going to be a fairly straightforward procedure, and she would hopefully do a lot better with it. She did great. They posted pictures. This is about a year ago now, actually almost exactly a year ago now, and they posted pictures of the same pride on Facebook a couple of weeks ago, and you can't even tell. So she's doing great. She's a mama now, so it's pretty cool. Yeah. All right. Other questions? Okay, sounds good. So we also did some work with some rhinos and cheetah. The rhino up here is pretty cool. They're an endangered species. So a lot of people are aware that elephants are endangered, and they're actually not really endangered anymore because of the efforts that the conservation programs have gone through. Ivory poaching and things like that have really dropped off considerably. Now rhinos are the main target. The reason is because of their horn. It grows a lot like a fingernail, like you or I. So if you cut off the very top of it, it will regrow over time. If they're fighting or doing weird stuff, they can knock the end of the horn off, just like you can catch your nail on something and tear it. It will grow back. Unfortunately, when poachers go after these guys, they don't care. They basically just cut off the entire front end of the animal. So they kill them, and it's really unfortunate that they have to kill them because it's something that they would not have to kill them for. So we're doing some monitoring stuff here. We microchip them. And so what we do is it works the exact same way as microchipping your animals. If you got them from the Humane Society, they get the little microchip over their shoulder blade. Works exactly the same way. So we microchip the animal itself, and we also put a microchip that's drilled into the horn itself. That way, if the animal is poached and that horn shows up in another country, we can track it back to that specific animal, and it allows them to actually prosecute the people who killed that animal, if they can